Hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And this is a little bit special. This is a video which has the CEO and the person in charge of marketing for a brand new project that is in gaming. And I know that the XRP community is very interested in how this gaming ecosystem ties into the token ecosystem. So we're going to learn about their project and hopefully understand where they are going, because I think they have some incredible experience in this space. And so joining us today is Eric Schiermeyer. He is the CEO, and Jason Brink, who is of their marketing department. And I'm going to let them do a self-introduction so that it can bring you up to speed. And yeah, enjoy. This is going to be a great conversation. So looks like we've got Eric. There you are, Eric. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for joining us today. And I just want to, just tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Obviously, my name's Eric. I've been a technology entrepreneur since 1999. I started a few internet companies that you might have heard of. One of them was the parent company of MySpace. Another one is a company called Zynga. And I've been an avid video game player ever since I was a kid. I started out playing text-based multiplayer dungeons. We called them MUDs back in the day. And I got really into World of Warcraft, and I've just been playing games pretty much all my life. And so it was very natural for me to end up in this industry. And, I would say what's relevant right now, I think that we're on the verge of a total radical transformation of the entire games industry. And that it used to be when you had a toy or even a game, you actually owned the thing. You had a CD or a DVD or something that you actually owned. Nowadays, more often than not, you don't actually own anything. You may spend thousands of dollars on your game, but you don't actually own it. And what I see coming, and what everyone on our team sees coming, is this day where players own things again.
Wow.
And when that happens, everything is going to be different. So I should probably let Jason introduce himself, because I could probably talk about that for hours.
Yeah, we'll go back to that in a moment, because I'm just interested when you say own things. Let's go back after we hear from Jason, but I'd like to know what specifically you are talking about when you talking about owning things. But let's bring Jason in. Jason, how are you?
I am fantastic. And you, Eddie?
I'm
You having a
good.
good day today?
Yeah, I'm having a good day today. It's early for me, and early means just afternoon. I'm not an early. I usually work. I'm usually up
Crypto
at,
never sleeps.
yeah,
Crypto
I'm up at
never
3
sleeps.
or 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm just starting my day.
Wonderful. Well, like Eric, I've been involved in gaming for a long time. Obviously, not nearly to the extent that he has, but I cut my teeth playing the Zork text adventures and the multi-user dungeons way back in the day. World of Warcraft, all of that, of course. I've been in the blockchain space since 2014. Well, a little bit before that, but 2014 is when I started really putting content into the space. Won an award from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as well as the Global Development Network, for my work putting together a proposal for a blockchain project to fix some of the problems endemic to foreign aid.
Oh.
And I've been looking at ways that we can use the blockchain to, sort of democratize the intellectual space and to create ways to give people actual ownership of things, which is what brings me here to Gala Games. This is something that I believe in very strongly, and like Eric, I do miss the days when I actually owned the games that I played. And you had that sound that every person, every Generation X person knows where you're blowing the dust out of your Nintendo cartridge, right? You don't do that with cloud-based game assets any longer. So that's one of the things that we're trying to change. And so, yeah, that's me, and that's who I am, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good fit. And with the experience that both of you bring, this is, I'm sure you're fascinated with the development and the growth and the changes that are happening really, really fast, right? So you spent a little bit of time in Asia. Do you get back
Me?
to,
Yes.
yeah, I know that it's not so easy to travel right now, but
No.
do you come back to Asia since you left Thailand? Do you come back occasionally?
Since I left, I haven't been back because I left just before the entire world locked itself in its apartment. Um, but I'm looking forward to going back and visiting one of these stays, hopefully in the near future.
We have as far as the XRP community goes, there are a lot of people living in Asia all over. I mean, Thailand and the Philippines and Indonesia and Malaysia and South Korea. And so, yeah, and I'm here in Japan. And I just want to ask Eric, because I'm really interested in how many times you have come to Japan. And please share with everyone why you come to Japan.
Well, the first time I ever was in Japan when I was 16 years old, and I stayed for a month in Utsunomiya, doing an exchange program over the summer. But shortly after I got out of college, I started coming to Japan once or twice a year, sometimes 3 or 4 times a year. And what I would do is I would travel to a small town north of Tokyo called Noda. And there is a really great group of people who study a martial art that I dearly love. And so that's why I would come to Japan. So
there's a dojo there that has a special kind of martial art that was developed from, is it developed from that sensei who teaches in terms of the history?
He inherited many different martial arts from his teacher.
Yeah, well, Okinawa is actually, by a lot of people who are into the martial arts, is where most of that originated from. But there are so many different types of martial art practices now, and it looks fascinating. I've seen, in fact, I do sometimes what's called a fluff story on my videos at the end where I'll talk about Japanese culture, and I've actually done a whole fluff series on that dojo and the sensei, because
you did?
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Maybe about a year ago. Well, let's dive into your project, because I registered, as you might have seen, and I played around a little bit and got a feel for what I'm doing here. And I guess in the game you want to be a mayor, right? You want to be a town mayor?
That's right. So in the game, what you're trying to do is you're actually trying to win. So what you can think of this game is like an esport for everybody. And the fun thing about it is that right now the top 10 players every week are earning some of our tokens. And it used to be you'd earn some of our items. And so there's always these like fun prizes that you can earn when playing the game. And eventually, as we get more and more users, we'll be expanding the number of people who can win these items just for playing the game. So the game is called Town Star? That's right. And yeah, so Town Star. You can think of it as like a farming / town build simulation. Yeah, I mean, so because you can do a lot. Right? You can have your farmhouse, you can create your wheat field, you can get a
windmill, you can do the well, right? You have the pasture, the pond, the roads, the trade depot. You're basically building your little community.
Exactly. And you have to balance it because it's actually complicated. There's a lot of different competing priorities that happen inside the game. And so you're constantly tinkering with the equations of your little town.
So you're competing against other people who are building another town that rivals yours?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I noticed that you have these scheduled times, to actually participate. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah. So what we noticed when we did these larger games like Farmville 2 that hundreds of millions of people played around the world, is that we would consistently get this feedback that players would just burn out because it just was this endless grind that never had an end. And eventually people would begin to think that it was pointless. You could never win because it never ends. And so the idea behind ending the game every week is so that you have this very clear delineation between one experience and the other. And the way that we're building in continuity, which every player that I've ever known has wanted, is by allowing the players to actually own items inside the game that they can bring from one game to another.
Right. So how do you deal with the different time zones? I mean, if you only have one game going at one time that has a start and a finish, but how do you deal with someone who is living in Australia versus someone who's living in London?
Yeah, so that's an excellent point, and it's something that we'll be adding later. We are still in beta. You can play the game. We have thousands of players playing every week, but these are issues that we are working on, and there definitely are going to be ways for people all over the world to be able to play the game and feel like they're able to play on a fair playing field as well.
You mentioned Farmville, and I know that that was extremely popular. Are people still playing Farmville?
Well, honestly, I don't know if they're still playing Farmville, but I know that over 1 billion people worldwide have played farming games. And it's an incredibly accessible genre. It's an incredibly popular genre, which is actually the reason we went down this path. When we were thinking about our project and how we were going to create a mass market hit, what we were thinking is, looking around at what was currently in the space, we just were thinking, well, a lot of these games are very niche. A lot of these games are designed for people who, already kind of are into crypto already. You can see it by a lot of the names of these games. But what I thought would be a massive win for everybody is if we could get our moms and our dads and our kids to play the games with us. And so that, that's what we saw over at when I was at Zip. We brought hundreds of millions of users to Facebook just to play Farmville. And when you think about moving your social graph from MySpace to Facebook back then, that was an enormous task. So when you think about that, the idea of creating a wallet to be able to play a game that is blockchain enabled is trivial in comparison. And so it's my belief that if we're successful at having a mass market hit, we'll radically change the blockchain landscape. And what happens to every crypto project when hundreds of millions of people are onboarded into blockchain? I think it's just a fundamental change. It's a radical concept, and if it happens, everybody wins.
I agree.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, so Jason, tell us then, who is the target market for the people who are playing this game? I mean, is it, do you have a target, or is it really all ages?
It's really all ages. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I was going to say it's definitely all ages, and we've specifically designed it to be extremely approachable. We want it to be something that when people log in and play, they can have fun, they can enjoy it, and it's not something that necessarily has to be a crypto related experience for the average user. My mother, for example, my mother knows nothing about the blockchain, nothing at all. She knows I do weird things with codes and doesn't honestly understand much of it at all. But I can introduce her to something like this. She can play it, she can have fun, she can interact with it, she can win things with it, and doesn't have to actually know what she's doing in that blockchain sense. From a messaging perspective, that's what we want to put out there. Right now, a lot of the people who are playing are, of course, blockchain related. And of course, with the XRP community, they're obviously very blockchain oriented. But the nice thing about this is that you can actually introduce this to absolutely anyone and they can play. And it doesn't have to be, just for blockchainers.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, that image behind you is actually the game.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, that's someone who's done a lot of work. When I see everything that is in that landscape there, that's somebody who has
It's really beautiful, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
it's from a gaming perspective, it's tremendously fun to play. It's very engaging. The experience that most of my friends and family and whatnot that I've introduced it to is, oh my God, this is amazing. This is addictive. I want to play more. One of the things that we have in the game is we have these fountains that you can get for referring a certain number of users to the game. And if you refer 100 users, you get this majestic fountain, which gives you a whole bunch of additional water, which is useful for growing your crops and for industrial processes and things like that. It's a super important part of the game. But when I introduced my wife to the game, I sent her a fountain. And this is a blockchain transaction. So I had to fund that transaction with a little bit of Ethereum to get it to her game so that she could then open her game up and click on her little treasure chest in the corner and place it. And when she did that, like 10 minutes later, I heard from the other room, honey, do you have any more fountains? I need more fountains. Send me more fountains.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the cool things. And I mean, that moment of interacting with the blockchain and placing an item in a game is a pretty cool and special thing. And she also is not a blockchain person. She doesn't know anything about it. It's, I do weird things and hang out with weird people. That's what she knows. But she's able to interact in that way. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It really opens the space up, and that's what we need to do.
So anyone watching this video should notice that there's two Easter eggs in Jason's background.
Let me take a look at his background.
One of them,
one of them hasn't been released yet. Move my head there.
An Easter egg. An Easter egg?
Gamers will know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so this is always. I'm sure that these games are under constant development with additions and changes and keeping that audience engaged. I see. Okay,
that is a majestic fountain right there. By the way.
I see it. So you talk about this token, that you can win these tokens, but once I have this token, which is it an 1155 token right now?
Okay, so it was initially released as an 1155, and over the next 4 days, we will be switching to an ERC20.
ERC20.
So it's going to be an ERC20 for the Gala itself. The items will still remain on the 1155 standard.
I gotcha. So,
because I mean, we're looking at other blockchains for our items. I think ERC20 makes a lot of sense from just a compatibility standpoint, but the gas prices right now are just kind of crippling.
Not
for
good.
the type of experience that we're trying to create. The last thing we want to do is have our players have to spend $5 in a fountain to their wife. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we're definitely looking at other options there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, just for context, Eric, I don't know if we can say this, but it might be interesting for people to know exactly how much it costs to do a total distribution of items every time that happens in Ethereum. Is that something that we can share?
Yeah, I think we can share that.
It's interesting. What is it?
It's a hateful amount of money. What was the last distribution? What did that cost, Eric, roughly?
That roughly costs about $12,000.
Oh my God! I would have never guessed that amount. Never. I would have never guessed that amount.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare. That's difficult, and I think that the fact that happens. I mean, I've been in a lot of different blockchain projects over the years, and one of the things that is always a challenge is putting together the budget to continue working to keep devs on hand to do these things. And honestly, I've never seen a project that can just be can swallow that, and it says a lot for the care and attention to the community that Gala has, and I think that it's a great thing that they've built this, and it's also important that we probably eventually move to a different standard rather than Ethereum in the long run.
Is there any way the ledger can help you in terms of its interoperability?
Possibly. I'd have to look at it a little bit more. I'm not sure how it handles like NFT based transactions. In theory, that is a thing that could potentially help, but I don't know enough to be able to give a definite yes or no on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that because of the interoperability that the XRP ledger has, I am just sure there's a way to, because Ethan has been doing a lot of work with the hackathons and the Ethereum community, getting that compatibility and interoperability more and more and more and more. So I would encourage you to definitely explore. So do you find most people are playing in a browser, or are they playing on their mobile? I mean, I'm just curious.
Everybody's playing on a browser, actually.
Are they?
The beautiful thing about what we're doing is that if you have a browser, and Jason, I don't know if you can show this picture or not, but if you can, pull it up. If you have a browser, whether it's on your phone or it's on your laptop or your desktop, you can play our game. We're using inside of Brave, Chrome, Safari, all the major browsers. And Jason sent me a picture the other day of a really funny way that he was playing Townstar while he was driving.
To be fair, it wasn't me. I wasn't the one playing Townstar. 1 second. I definitely do have this. This is a close friend of mine. Who, let me set this up here 1 second. Who sent me this picture, and he's going to get a big kick out of this when I tell him that it made it in this. Hold on.
The idea behind this, really, the reason why we're in the browser is because we have decidedly opted out of the app stores. We feel that paying a 30% tax to them. Oh yeah, take it away, Jason. We can talk
hold
about
on 1 second. I have to scale that really quick. Oh, come on. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Sorry, my
I can see it pretty
good. No.
You
need to actually see it in order for it to really work.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, it looks like he's in his car.
He actually has installed. No, it's not upside down. It's just he has a weird car. There we go.
Yeah, I can
put that
see.
there, and
Hmm.
I can put no wrong. There we go. So yeah, this is my buddy Crypto Droid's car, and he has ported it over so that he can sit in traffic and make sure that he's selling his crops at the right moment.
How long does it take to be a
To
town
be,
mayor?
what was that?
How long does it take to be a town mayor, generally?
Well, I think that there's obviously different levels that you can get involved here. You can be a casual player who plays for a little bit and has a little bit of fun. You play on your phone kind of wherever you are, whenever you feel like it. A lot of people have it open on a different monitor or in a different browser window, so that they can, be working on something and then click back every few minutes to, sell their crops. One of the nice things about this is that, and in fact, this is something that I found confuses people initially, because they're sort of used to the absolute micromanagement style of a lot of farming games, where your wheat is harvested and then you have to go and click on your wheat, and then you have to click on your barn so that your wheat goes to your barn, and then you click on your farmer and tell him to plant more wheat. It's this very click exhausting sort of process. What this is it's much more like being a factory manager, because what you're really doing is you're setting up these processes that will run autonomously, and you just simply have to check in and make sure that everything is going as it is supposed to go, and to handle the manual processes like the buying and the selling and things like that. So initially, sometimes people, come in and they try to click on everything, and it's not really that. You have to just set up the conditions for your factory to run smoothly, and then it will do what it is supposed to do. It's really an interesting game.
And you're transitioning from one product to another. So if you're mainly producing, let's say, lumber, and you want to start producing cake, that could be a tricky transition.
Yeah, I saw that there
Michael
is a
McCarthy
bakery in
is
there.
the genius behind it, actually.
So when you are getting these tokens, they are an NFT right now. Is that going to change? I mean, how does someone take that token that they win and turn it into something that is transferable to fiat, for example? Is that possible?
Well, so here's the beauty of the blockchain. As soon as we put it on the blockchain, they can do whatever they want with it. In fact, part of being a decentralized project is we don't necessarily have control over what happens to anything once it gets added to the chain. A great example is about a month ago or so, I was on our Discord channel, and somebody started asking us about why our items were listed on OpenSea. Well, I asked around to the team, and nobody had done that. We had not listed our items on OpenSea.
I understand.
OpenSea just decided to do it because they can. Yeah. Because we can't stop them, nor would we want to. But that's just how that's how the blockchain works.
That's how the blockchain works.
If you go into our Discord channel, you'll see people selling their stuff to other players.
Yep.
And it just it's really just up to them. It's like a baseball card.
Yeah.
And you go into a forum and you want to sell it, and people sell it.
Yeah, right. I think that's an important distinction, because they take on their a life of their own that is totally outside of anything that you're doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our job really just create fun games.
Yeah.
And just give this stuff to the players. Hopefully we'll sell some of it too. And but I think one of the things that was alarming for me,
Hmm.
being a part of the so-called free-to-play game industry, was just the absolute avalanche of time and money that was poured into these game experiences that just basically get thrown into a black hole. What I think a lot of people don't realize is that most of that money that's spent on these games ends up in the hands of Facebook, Apple, and Google.
You would know that,
You know,
yeah.
a lot of people might think that, oh yeah, you know, these game companies are making so much money, but they're really not. So I'll give you a good example of why we're not on the App Store. If I wanted to buy, let's just say, a user of an app, I could end up spending $20 for that person to play my free game that they don't have to pay for. And just based on the economics of this, I have to probably buy at least 20 users to find one user that will play for a month for free.
It's a high acquisition.
And yeah, so just on the marketing dollars that are spent, it's estimated to be about $40 billion a year are spent just marketing free-to-play games, because you're looking for 3 to 5% of the total population of players who are going to spend money. Now, what happens if that stops being a black hole? I think people are going to become much more willing to spend money in these game experiences. They can take, you know, the objects that they own from one game and turn it into something that they can then use in another game.
It's so important, right?
It's just kind of like normal human behavior. It's almost inconceivable that this state of existence in gaming has lasted this long.
I agree.
No one else would put up with that. Like if I said to you, here's this car, you know, here's a $10,000 car. You can only use it in Los Angeles. If you move to Seattle, you can no longer use that car. You have to buy a new one.
What a great analogy.
Nobody would do that.
No.
You would
pay extra to unlock your
drive the car to Seattle and use it there too.
It's a really good analogy. I think that makes it really clear for everybody that you need something that can be more flexible and more user friendly. Otherwise, it's it just is that big black hole. So
well, because right now the way it works is let's say I spend 1,000 hours playing, like Rainbow Six Siege or something like that, and I've built up all of these cool characters, and I have all this I have this great account, and a new player wants to buy that from me.
Yeah.
Well, if you sell it to that person on eBay, I could go report you to, I think it's Ubisoft. I forget, but I could report you, and it's a TOS violation. And I could then get my account back, because I could say you hacked my account, and it's a violation anyway. You're not supposed to be selling these accounts.
Yeah, but they gotta create a solution that doesn't force people into those black markets, right?
Right.
That's what we're doing.
And by the way, the black market is a $50 billion a year market right now in video games.
I haven't heard that figure. It's huge. Unbelievable. So Discord, you have a big community. How many people are in the Discord?
Let me check.
Yeah.
1 second. I'll tell you right now. So if we were to look at this, we have 1,831 members right now.
Is that the best place for people to?
It's the most active right now. We just set up Telegram as well, but Discord is where most of the conversation takes place. Telegram, as I know you know, is just a sort of fire hose of stuff that comes at you way too fast. But Discord, you can kind of break up the discussion and move around. We're also very active on social media channels, Twitter, Facebook. Pretty much everything is at Go Gala Games.
And so for the Go Gala Games. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And are you finding most of your user base is where right now? Do you have that information being in the marketing?
All over the world.
It's worldwide.
Yeah.
Is it in any other languages?
We're localized in Japanese, correct?
Localized in Japanese.
Are you really? Great. That's great. Yeah, super. And so for the gaming industry as a whole, I know that everybody is so tuned into what's coming, what's going to happen, the estimations of time that we're going to see this. I'd love to hear from both of you, actually. Eric, let me start with you. What is coming to the gaming industry, and when will we see that in terms of these big changes?
So my belief is that it's really blockchain. I know a lot of people thought that VR and AR was going to be this huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
I find that people fundamentally crave social gaming experiences. That's why multiplayer was so profound. That's why online gaming was so profound. And I think blockchain adds a really, really essential nutrient to that social experience. Whereas VR to me feels like this this thing that you do by yourself.
There's a disconnect.
Even if you're doing it, you know, and it's not something that you can just do anytime you want to do it too. You have to be set up and in a safe place. Honestly, you can't just like walk around the street and do it. So I really think blockchain is really the next massive change that's coming.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that, and I would actually extend it a little bit beyond that and say that human beings, in our natural state, we are creatures of play. You know, if you go back at a deep anthropological level and you look at primates and proto-humans and things like that, they play all the time. This concept of cram yourself in a cubicle, work 14 hours a day, don't walk around, that's not what we naturally have evolved to do. It's what we do because we've built a society around ourselves that demands it.
That's
but
right.
It's not what we would naturally want to do. And I think that when you look at blockchain and the concept of tying that together with gaming, you develop this ability to create gaming experiences that go more deeply into your life. I can imagine taking some of the concept of gamification of different things like fitness or sports or things like that, and then you can tie that directly into a blockchain enabled sort of experience, and you can build something really fabulous and immersive and social with that. Human beings are designed to play. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah,
and that's what we're here to promote.
That's really a good point. I think also too, even though many of us are working from home, I don't know about the people who are around you, but in Japan, since everybody has started working at home, they're working even longer hours than they did prior to their commute,
Well, now they don't have to sit in the train. Now they can just sit on the couch.
Yeah.
But on the plus side, you can do that while wearing basketball shorts, so.
Yeah, but I just think that the importance of gaming is even more important than ever because of this constant sitting. Although I do see some people are now moving their workstations to a standing position, but I really love the fact that you bring that up because we just really shouldn't be only working. The play is really an important part of our
it's critical.
balance.
If we forget that, if we forget to play, we lose our humanity.
Yeah.
And that's a super critical, serious, like real talk lesson for a second. If we forget how to play, we are no longer human. We become cogs. And I don't know about anyone who happens to be listening to this, but I don't want to be a cog. I want to be a person.
Yeah. I just
one to connect us back to the beginning of our conversation. My teacher in Japan, when he would let us know that it was time to start practicing, he would say play.
It's totally rethinking what you're doing is not necessarily working, but if you're into the martial arts, that is a form of play, in a very structured way, but still very, very much giving you the pleasures.
For me, one of the things that I think is really deep within me is this notion that we might be able to unlock and decentralize a $200 billion a year industry that's built on this concept of play. To get serious for a second, my understanding is that when the Nike sweatshops were shut down in Cambodia, the incidence of child sex trafficking in that country went up by over 100%. And if you think about it, just for a nanosecond, they were being paid $1 a day to work in those terrible conditions. So the difference between $1 a day was the difference between being turned into a slave and not. So when I see the blockchain gaming industry hitting its stride is when a kid in Cambodia could make enough money, which is basically $30 in a month, that he can take that money back to his family, and the economic conditions there are such that he or she is now free from the specter of being forced into a brawl. And when you think about the Western countries, the consumption that they have of these types of games experiences is in the billions and billions and billions of dollars every single year. What would that mean if that was decentralized out of the hands of these mega corporations like Facebook, Apple, and Google, and it was truly decentralized around the world?
It's critical.
What would happen to a global community? How much better would life get for people around the world? I mean, even in the United States, the difference between $200 or $300 a month might mean the difference between whether you and your family are eating regularly or not. Well, that's not that massive of a hurdle, especially if you're doing it through something in which you're fundamentally just playing.
Critical component, actually, to a lot of survival. It's really, really nice, deep, critical thinking. I like it. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, Eric, tell me anything that we haven't touched on that you think is important. We should talk about, I mean, eventually you're going to bring your token over to exchanges, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the promise of the blockchain. I think for us, the exchange is not the end goal. I think a lot of blockchain projects, it's a mad dash to get listed on some massive exchange that has tons of liquidity, and that's like the whole point. And, for us, what this is bringing through a creative vision for what does it mean to be a player. And players need to be able to trade amongst themselves. They need to be able to move their items. They need to be able to take the value that they've stored and move it to another. And they need to be able to do that freely without any intervention from the game developer. That would be us in this case. So, the way we don't think of them as exchanges. I don't think of this as like the NASDAQ or something like that. I think of it as a marketplace. I think of it as I don't know if you ever played World of Warcraft, but I think of it as the auction house. where players are coming together and they're trading with each other. They're trading the value that they care about back and forth
in a safe, trustless environment, right?
Absolutely. You know, the last thing I want is to have a hacker come in there and start selling stolen accounts or doing anything weird like that. Like, and to be honest, I could care less about speculators. I don't have anything against them, but that's not what I'm creating. I'm not creating something for somebody who's going to be running a hedge fund to go to town. I'm something for gamers to use.
You're really going for I really admire you. I admire your position, and I think that it's really credible, and I think you're going to bring a lot of value to this space.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Jason, did I forget anything else?
Well, one of the things that I just want to touch on really quick, and I think that it's important that we mention, is the amazing developers that we have behind this entire project. Specifically, I want to talk a little bit about Michael Mccarthy, just because when I first met Michael, I don't know, was it a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now? And when I started talking to him, super neat guy, super cool, had a lot of fun, sat down, chatted. It was a great experience. And then as I got to know him a bit more, I learned that he was one of the developers that was behind some of my favorite games of all time that I played, as a teen. And he's the creative mind, as Eric mentioned earlier. He is the creative genius behind Townstar, and it's really, really, really a privilege to get to watch this process and to see this Townstar as the first game, setting the stage for future game developments coming in the future. And I think that that's one of the things that's also important that we touch on, is this idea that, if you're not into farming games, that's okay. I personally am not a farming game type person, but I have heard whispers in the wind about a future RPG that might be something that the non-farm game people like myself might get a little bit more involved in. And to be able to see this creative process, watch Michael at work, and watch the rest of the development team as they work on fixing various issues and pushing new versions and things like that, is really a cool experience. And it's something that is absolutely essential to this, is to everyone behind it. It's not just Eric and me here. There's this whole little mini army of people who are working behind the scenes to make it a reality.
That's nice to give a shout out and also recognize that it is a team effort. It's very good. Yeah. Well, I hope to see you on, and not for the speculation part, I'm not getting that, but I hope to see you on exchanges, because I think it's going to help build your ecosystem. So if there, say it one more time again. Sorry, there was a little lag.
Oh yeah, I said I think it's going to be really important for the players to be able to trade amongst themselves.
Yeah. So I think if you are wanting to get a lot of the XRP community involved, you might think about BitTrue. That is one of the exchanges that is very popular among a lot of the XRP holders. And that might be a place that you can introduce the game and the ecosystem. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about I totally understand your position, but at the same time too, I think that having a look at, just explore the XRP ledger to see if there's any interoperability there, because there might be some value there for you.
It's definitely something that I will look more deeply into. but in relation to the concept of exchanges, um, so one of the interesting things about the blockchain is when something happens on the blockchain, it's there on the blockchain and it is available for anyone to see. And if people were to go look at a place like OpenSea, okay, and they were to look at, for example, a history of items that have recently been minted, they might find a few interesting things there. To take a look at. This was just recently pointed out in our Discord. Actually, about an hour ago, someone noticed it. So I would encourage anyone listening to this to go check out OpenSea. They have a really cool marketplace just in general. We're in no way, shape, or form affiliated with them, but it is what they've done is actually very, very cool for the ERC 1155. But go look at the events, the newly minted items on the blockchain events for Townstar, and maybe something interesting to look at there. So.
Yeah, OpenSea, I will. I'm interested in taking a look and seeing what's happening over there. Sounds.
One of the things that I think is worth mentioning here is that building a game on the blockchain is unlike any other game development experience I've ever been through. We're used to people taking a look at the source code and kind of figuring out what might be coming or that kind of a thing. But being on the blockchain means that literally everything that we do is visible, and it's radical reorganization of how we develop something. We're really developing it in a way that is more open than I've ever seen any other kind of development before. And for game developers that are thinking about getting involved here, there are so many fascinating new challenges and opportunities to be thinking through in this space. And it's just, for me, it's just really exciting.
Yeah, the transparency is just mind-blowing, isn't it? It totally changes everything. Yeah, and I'm sure there are a lot of new developers, I think, quite young, just getting their feet wet with blockchain. And I'm positive many are going to migrate over to the gaming industry and continue to build it out. I'm positive about that.
One of the cool things that people can do today is could import CryptoKitties into our game if we felt like it. Or CryptoKitties could import our fountains if they felt like it, or any of our other items if they wanted to. It's this you couldn't do that. You couldn't take Fortnite characters and put them into Call of Duty without at least 1,000 attorneys involved.
Yeah. That concept is amazing. Yeah, totally beyond what we ever imagined just a few years ago.
Oh yeah. There are going to be people with levels of creativity that far exceed anything that I can think of, coming up with some of the most fascinating ways of using this technology, and I'm really excited to see it.
You are in a very interesting space. Very interesting. Yeah, I appreciate I appreciate both of you sharing with everyone, from coming from your perspective of actually building on the blockchain. I really appreciate all the information that you gave everyone. I think it helps us understand the space much more.
I think the message that we're hopefully going to be sending to people is that blockchain is way more valuable than just pure speculation.
Yeah. I think everybody's on board with that. I do. I think people see the value.
And we're gonna hopefully deliver that value.
I hope you do too. I'll be rooting for you, and I'll be watching you. Yeah, and I look forward to playing your game.
Oh, good. I'm glad you do.
I saw once I signed up, I received the email in my email that I had missed the scheduled time, to get in. So you've got me connected now. So don't worry. I'm going to figure out the timing.
Well, the best way to get into distribution is to share it with your friends and convince them to play.
Yeah.
That's actually something that you really should do with this.
Twitter, you should probably put your share link at the bottom.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely should do that. You know where to get it, right? You log in, and then off to the right, there's a little button that says, I think, social now, right?
Yeah.
And you'll have a URL that's just for you. So all of your viewers should be clicking on your link, so you get credit for it.
I see. Good. Okay.
It's definitely worth it, because I think that this is designed to be a social experience. That's what this is all about. We want to be able to share this with other people so that they can experience it, and we can send you a fountain that you can place in your own game, and you can try that experience out for yourself. And maybe when the whole crypto crafting component comes online, you can by that point in time, maybe you will have collected enough parts to build yourself a crane bot, and then you can use that in game too.
So I just have so the things that I do acquire within that scheduled game time that starts and that ends, can I take all those items and roll them back into another scheduled event?
Absolutely.
Ah, yeah. Okay. So you're not. Go ahead.
One of the things that we've noticed since we're in beta, we have not as many users as we will in the future. Mm-hmm. Somebody might bring in 100 of their friends, 100 of their best friends that they know on Twitter, and out of nowhere, they'll just show up in the daily distribution of Gala tokens, and they'll have a few million Gala tokens assigned to them because they brought in 100 players. So I highly recommend you put your unique share link when you post this.
I will take your advice. I appreciate both of you. Again, you gave us a lot of things to think about, in terms of the importance of the transparency, the amazing part of DeFi now, the way that we can rethink how games are played in the future, and really the importance that we are creatures of play, and we should never forget that. And I'm very excited to have met you, and I think that you're going to be very successful, and I look forward to all of the changes and all of that comes out of your company. Go Gala, right? Yeah.
Go Gala.
Go Gala. That's good. All right, everybody.
Well, I really appreciate you. Thank you for having us today.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it. It's always, I enjoy the learning about the ecosystems that are connected to blockchain, and I think everybody else feels the same way. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Yeah, I will be talking to you soon, I hope, with a follow-up in a few months after you come back out and things are growing and you've got maybe some announcements to share. That would really be fabulous to come meet with you again sometime in the beginning of 2021.
Yeah, let's do that. That'd be great.
We would be honored, and we have a pretty heavy announcement schedule, so that's should be fun.
We'll be paying attention. Thank you so much, both of you. Yeah, do take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
Sayonara.